Hey everybody, remember Flop TV, the 1-hour online video version of the Flophouse podcast that we produced last year? Well, I'm excited to tell you it is coming back. Flop TV 2, the sequel, will be broadcasting live to your computer screen the first Saturday of every month from September through February. We're talking only about sequels this season. RoboCop 2, Breakin' 2, Highlander 2, Caddyshack 2, Ski School 2, and Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. It's going to be all new jokes, all new presentations, movies we have never covered on the show before, all in a tight 1-hour-ish package. Can't join us the night of the show? That's okay. The videos for every episode will remain online through the end of February, so you can binge them or dole them out as you prefer. So that's Flop TV 2, the first Saturday of every month from September through February. For tickets and more information, go to flophousepodcast.com/events. Again, that's flophousepodcast.com/events. Flop TV 2, everything you loved about Flop TV, but again.
Hey, this is Stuart Wellington of the Flophouse Podcast, and welcome to another Flophouse Mini. I am Stuart Wellington, and joining me are...
Jan McCoy.
And Elliot Kalin. That's right, we're back.
We're back again. The Flophouse Boys doing a Flophouse Mini. Now,
Exactly
normally,
where you expect us to be.
Yep, in your ear holes.
On a regular schedule.
Now, one of these Flophouse Minis, what we do is instead of watching a bad movie and talking about it, we are going to talk about whatever we want. And today, I want to talk about something that by the time this episode gets released probably won't matter anymore. But the other day, I went to the movies. Have you guys ever done this before?
Not familiar.
Yeah, I've, once or twice. I'm experienced.
I had a pretty big week. I went to 3 movies in the theater. That's right. It's because I treat watching movies like I'm a professional. And so my
professional movie watcher?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
in a way, we are.
Kind of our job.
Okay, fair.
And so I, of course, being responsible at my job, I went to the movies with my father-in-law to see Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay, Wolverine.
They do fight each other, but that's not the takeaway.
And so while I was watching this movie, there's definitely a point where I thought to myself, how did we get to this place? What is happening?
How did you get to the theater?
Here?
You probably took the subway, maybe you drove.
No, we drove. My father-in-law can't take the subway. His feet don't work.
Had an existential crisis triggered by Deadpool and Wolverine.
I had a little bit of an existential crisis, and funny enough, I feel like this. It reminds me a little bit of.
Actually, it reminds me of the opening of Remembrance of Things Past by Marcel Proust, when his memory is triggered by a bite of a flamin' hot Cheeto.
Mm-hmm. Which, in a way, that would be very appropriate for Deadpool to say when he looks at the camera. I don't know if you've met this guy. He's kind of like if Family Guy was a superhero. But I was watching this movie, and I also think it's oddly appropriate because we just watched and did an episode on the movie If, which is Disney's attempt to
Ryan Reynolds.
make. Yeah, wait, is he in it? He's such a chameleon. I can't tell. But that's kind of like Disney's attempt at building, like putting all their cinematic universe properties into one thing, right? Kind of, it's very meta, or it's like a mild attempt at meta-ness.
If is?
No, Wish. Did I say
Wish.
If or did I say Wish?
You said If, so I was confused.
God damn it.
Which we also did recently at our Boston show.
And it had Ryan Reynolds in it. So I thought like the connection seemed clear to me.
When you seemed confused that Ryan Reynolds was in it makes more sense that you thought Wish because Ryan Reynolds is not in it.
Yeah.
He isn't in Wish.
Oh boy,
guys,
he's such a chameleon. There's no way of knowing. He's like Jackie Chan. There's no way of knowing if he's in a movie or not.
I've already fucked up this mini.
No, the confusion.
Should we start over? Should we start the whole thing over?
I think people tune in for the confusion.
Okay. Yeah, no. So you're saying Wish? Exactly. Yes, it's Disney's attempt to try to tie its old movies together into one thing. Deadpool and Wolverine is. I haven't seen it yet, but it sounds like it's very much that. It's like very much. Let's pull in a lot of different Marvel stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it attempts to sweep all of the older, let's say, either failed or defunct because they were part of Fox. Sweep them all into a dustpan, not throw all of it away, sprinkle a little bit on the MCU, and combine it all together.
Yeah, and mix it in with a bunch of jokes about corporate takeovers and dissolutions and such.
Yeah, I was amazed at how much humor in there. It wasn't
How
specifically
in
just
the
like
weeds they get on that.
like comic book nerd stuff, but like stuff for people who really follow the entertainment news surrounding these studios.
Yeah. There's definitely points where Charlene's looking at me. I'm like, I'll tell you after the movie,
And then you'll be disappointed.
So it was very fun. It was very fun to to have this existential crisis and then
Very
walk out
fun,
of the movie
says
theater.
Stuart Wellington about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Whoa, no! So I walk out of the movie theater, and my very old father-in-law is there, who we took because
He says, "Will I ever get my wish?"
Because we took him there because his favorite guy is Wolverine. He loves Wolverine, right? Like,
I mean, Wolverine
If
is an American favorite. I remember the first time I wrote a Wolverine comic, I mentioned it to my grandmother, and I said, "This is a bigger character than I'm used to working with." And she goes, "Well, everyone knows Wolverine." And I was like,
that's
"You know
amazing.
Wolverine?"
She's like, "Damn straight, bub."
Yeah. He's a
Like the old
Canadian
knucklehead?
favorite, though.
Yeah. He's the best at what he does, and what he does.
It's not very nice.
It isn't pretty.
No.
On the nice, not nice spectrum, it's closer to the not nice.
And on the pretty, not pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the amount of in order to understand, I guess, so we asked my father-in-law
You know
what he
what?
thought
I just
of.
realized something. Wolverine in the comics is very short, but Hugh Jackman, who plays him, is not short.
He
Whereas
is not short at all.
Jack Reacher in the books is very tall, but Tom Cruise, who played him, is very short. Is there some kind of physical, only so much height is available to Hollywood at a certain time,
Possible.
and it has to be in stasis, and that's why they cast tall people as short characters and short people as tall characters?
I will say, rest
That's
assured
probably
that
right.
in the multiverse shenanigans, we do finally get our Short King Wolverine
Great.
variant as part of the thing.
Yeah, it's funny that you say variant because that's right. In order to understand some of it, you have to have watched Loki, a television show, which is a little weird. But there's a lot of
on its
stuff.
own.
Yeah, you got, I mean,
It is funny that Disney was like, yeah, we'll tie it all together between the shows and the movies the way the comic books do. And it's like, the comic books are all comic books. It's not like Marvel. It's not like if you read Spider-Man and it's like, for more on this, listen to the hit song we released last year. It's still the same medium, It's a
no,
funny
you're
thing.
right. There's no songs about Spider-Man that you can just listen to.
But there's no. What
point.
I'm saying is that's not the point I'm making. The point is the song does not feature continuity that will then be referenced in a comic book later on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I talked to my father-in-law Herb, and I asked Herb, "What do you think? Did you like the movie?" And his response was, "It was different."
He put down his can of peaches and said,
and I feel like that's kind of the thing. Like, if I was to show, say, a person who wasn't, say, particularly familiar with all the ins and outs of these movies, what would they even think of Deadpool and Wolverine? And that was conveniently on my walk over here to the Flophouse. I actually bumped into a recently unfrozen Neanderthal.
Oh, wow.
A caveman. 1 second, guys, let me let him in.
"Oh wow, fully."
This is much more than I
So, guys,
expected.
we have this unfrozen caveman, and we have this. We're recording this on Friday. Our mom is going to be back by Sunday night. Okay, so we only have a weekend to be able to instill the entirety of the human experience into this caveman. Okay,
Because mom is against that. Mom doesn't like teaching cavemen modern things.
well, if she finds out it's a caveman, she'll take him away from us, and we won't be able to show him off in high school. Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't
You're right.
remember the
You're right.
plot of that movie
Logically,
that well, but I think that's
yeah.
what happens. So one thing that Deadpool and Wolverine reminded me is that movies have the ability to impart the entirety of the human experience into people who might not have experienced those things. You can learn. Yeah. They're kind of like empathy machines? Is that what Roger Ebert called them?
That was the famous quote. Yeah.
That's the famous quote Roger Ebert has that I take issue with, but yeah.
But nonetheless, so we have this amazing tool at our disposal to.
I wouldn't call Dan a tool, but he is amazing.
We have to introduce to our Encino Dan, if you will, this Neanderthal man, how to become. Alex, just add in some Neanderthal sounds. Okay. So yes, that makes sense a lot. We are going to try and communicate. We need to impart what it is to be a human in the modern world using the best tool we have at hand. Not books, not music,
No.
not like interpretive dance. No, we're going to talk about movies. And so we're going to go over a couple different key things about modern society. And we need to kind of pick the best movie to impart as much information as possible on that subject. So just to give you an idea, I have at least one prepared. So for instance, for the premise of this podcast, I might suggest Encino Man, the movie. Barring that blast from the past or something else with Brendan Fraser.
Can I just say,
Brendan Fraser is really good as a guy who has missed a lot of years and has to learn about them now.
Or if he's fighting a mummy.
Yeah. Can I just say, now that Stuart has
two strengths as an actor,
gotten his premise out, I didn't want to interrupt his premise out of a sense of courtesy that I'm not afforded that frequently. But now that it's out, I wanted to say that the expressions on you guys' face. He's had his Notes app out, and if you know the Notes app, it automatically gives a heading to everything at the top of it. And I've seen the words Encino Dan for the past 10 minutes. I'm like, I gotta know.
How do we?
I gotta know how this figures in.
I hope
where we're
lived up
going.
to your Dan expectations. Yeah.
No, it was much better than I thought. Honestly.
Yeah, I think it's pretty.
It's a good premise.
When I was a kid growing up, I grew up in New Jersey. I didn't know Encino was a place. So when that movie came out, I was like, I guess that means prehistoric. I don't know.
Yeah,
the joke of it totally I didn't get. Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got to see Sean Astin and Pauly Shore have some hijinks with our buddy Brendan Fraser before I kind of figured it out.
The same way that when Get Him to the Greek came out, I was not familiar with the Greek theater, so I thought the Greek was like a mobster that wanted Russell Brand or something like that.
And luckily, that's a movie where nobody involved in that movie has had like a fall from grace of any kind. So to give you another example, a movie that sums up I feel is like the perfect encapsulation of an issue of our modern day. Would be if we were going to say
the
climate
Age of
change.
Innocence.
If we were going to say climate change, for instance, I would say First Reformed. The movie that perfectly captures the terror and the untouchable frustration of being able to do nothing about a problem that is killing us all.
Yeah, the feelings of both guilt and impotence. Yeah, towards the problem. Yeah.
So if we were trying to teach our Encino Dan,
exactly.
If we were trying to teach Encino Dan, but I feel like there's much more important, not more important, obviously. Climate change is going to kill us all. But let's say more immediate if we want to try and get him into society. Yeah. So for instance, I've given some examples. Let's look at some topics here. I wrote down a bunch of topics here, and I figured you guys could help me. You guys are the most knowledgeable film people I know, so that's why I want to talk to you. Barring some other people that I text with. But you guys, you're
okay. Well, thanks for the totally
so let's say
unfootnoted compliment.
Okay, language. This Neanderthal man does not have a concept of language yet. What's a good movie about language and communication?
Now, here's the thing.
You say My Dinner with Andre, I'll give you a high five.
That was literally the first movie that came to mind because it's like, well, you want a movie with a lot of talking. My Dinner with Andre is all talking, and it could also teach him about how to be in a restaurant because that's something new to him.
That's the thing. If we can find movies that do double duty here, that's great.
Yeah. On the other hand, I don't know if he'll be able to. So My Dinner with Andre is my number one choice, but I wonder if there's something else that will more easily help him create the connection between language and things. Since My Dinner with Andre, fair or not, this is maybe a fair criticism or not, takes it for granted that the audience has an understanding that you can talk and express ideas verbally. So, I mean, the most literal version I can think of is like The Miracle Worker, which is literally about someone learning that language means things,
And
not Finding Forrester, where he learns that the key to writing is really like punching those.
Yeah, so
keyboard
Dan, this caveman he completely missed the time when typewriters were used. So why bring it up? Why even bother him with it?
Well, I thought on a comedy podcast it might be amusing to talk about it, but
let's teach you about typewriters anyway, so nobody uses those anymore. And the caveman is like, why waste Ogg's time?
You're right to reject my serious suggestion of Finding Forrester.
Yeah, I was going to say something like, I guess it's more about communication, but it's like something like Sound of Metal, where Riz Ahmed's character is going deaf, and he has to struggle with that and come to terms with his inability to hear things.
Arrival about language about trying to
Perfect.
communicate
Sure.
with.
And also time and perception of time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now that Dan got his goofy one out of the way with finding Forrester, he gave us the real one with.
Yeah. I forgot
'Cause
Dan
this is
always
a serious
opens with a
podcast.
gag.
Yeah,
I
he does
apologize.
he does one goof for himself, and then the rest are.
I
And
don't
the
know
caveman
what
is
in our
like-
history would make you think that a goofy one would be okay.
And the caveman is like, Og not understand. When Dan sincere, when Dan not sincere. Mixed signals
Tell
for
me
Og.
about it, Og.
Og sick of
Everybody.
Dan's mind
Tell me about
games.
Okay,
Og
man,
looking
we're
for
already-
serious communication relationship. Og
okay.
tired of the meat market.
So, as I said, we're going to have to be able to get this guy to blend in with us at high school, okay? So, what's a good
Yeah,
movie?
we're high school students, sure.
Yep, that shows high school. What's a good high school? Number one, you only have one movie to show them about high school.
Well, here's my gag suggestion. Dan
Let's get
does
it.
a lot of gags. My gag suggestion, a movie about someone showing up at high school and he has to like figure out what it's like to be at high school when you're not a high school student. I don't remember the name of it, but that John Cryer movie where he has to go undercover as a high school student.
12
'cause he's in the
o'clock
witness-
high?
Yeah, because he's in the
12
witness
o'clock
protection
high?
No, not 12
No, wait,
o'clock.
that's not it. That's
It's
a
the one
different
where he's in the witness
It's like a
protection
cowboy
program.
movie.
It's sorry. No, I
Dan,
know
you're
this
thinking
one.
of 3 o'clock high, probably, which
3
is
o'clock
which is
high,
not the movie
yeah.
I'm thinking about.
No,
I'm thinking about Hiding Out. I think that's
Hiding
it. Yeah.
Out.
Where he has to
I got
pretend
the
he's a
high
high school
part
student.
right.
Yeah.
Is hiding out spelled like high, like is in high school?
No, it's not.
I think they missed something there.
They did miss an
It
opportunity.
did
But that's
miss something.
But that is where he plays a stockbroker, right? Who is on the who's on the lam or something like that. He's on the run from the mob, and so he has to hide out at a high school, pretend to be a high school student.
Was this before or after his Ducky days?
This is 1987.
I wish I
think
could go
it's-
back to those Ducky days.
I do not. He's a piece of shit, that guy.
So that's what Pretty in Pink. Let's just take a look and see what year. That was
Yeah.
1986. This is the year after he's Ducky. So
Okay. So yeah, I would argue still Ducky.
Things no longer so
Yeah.
Ducky.
Yeah.
on the other hand, there's also like just one of the guys. There's another gag
Sure.
suggestion
Then
going
you throw
undercover
out
in high
another
school.
goofy one.
Yep.
I'm gonna make a suggestion that's not a goofy one, and I think it does a little bit of double duty. I would say Alexander Payne's Election, since it does
okay.
touch on some politics there.
Yeah, it'll help him understand a little bit more about democracy and the American
Mhm.
system of government, but also high school. Yeah.
And the pressure that a man might go through when he's trying to get his wife pregnant.
I was
He'll
first
be like,
gonna.
Og confused. Why girl coded as villain of movie? Girl just trying to be good at things and run for
Yeah.
high school president.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated, dog.
Tracy is hero of movie, right? Well, Og, it's a little more complicated than that.
I think the movie's more complicated than that too. Like, I don't think she's coded as the villain. I think that we're supposed to like understand why this person that we're coded to like because he's Matthew Broderick, but then we realize he's a shitheel over the
Yeah,
course
that's
of
true.
things, and
That's
that's
true.
kind of his perspective on. Anyway,
For me, it's the scene where Tracy Flick is complaining to her dorm mates about them being too loud. That's the moment where the movie is like, yeah, but she's not cool, right?
yeah, but who was? I mean, like that's the thing. Like that part of the problem, the thing that movie exposes is people who care about things and are have like specific desires attached to that, like are also difficult, and that like causes people not to like them when likability is not what should win elections.
This is
So
all
this is
good
a good
stuff for
po-
Og to learn. Yeah.
Political.
Yeah, you should learn all this.
You should
stuff.
learn this for maybe a political.
Politics
thing,
is
would-
on my list of things to teach.
Well, then
Og.
that's my vote ahead of time. But I was
Yeah.
gonna say for high school, at first I wanted to go with Dazed.
If you say screwballs, Dan.
At first I wanted to go with Dazed and Confused because I feel like that's a very like sort of realistic depiction of the interaction between teens. But it's on the last day of school, and much of it is not about high school itself. So
They certainly don't do a lot of school work.
yeah. So I'm going to switch over to a movie that I don't love, but it's it comes from a book about going back to high school undercover, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Maybe I would go with.
Okay. Yeah, and that'll prep Og for his love of Judge Reinhold and
His love of masturbation.
his love of
Yeah.
masturbation.
I would say it's again. This is not a movie that I love. It doesn't, but I think The Breakfast Club would get across some of that stuff too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, of course, these are all high schools from back when we were younger. I don't know for modern high
I
school.
mean, they don't
what
make.
would be
I mean,
good.
there's High School Musical. That's pretty much it, right? Do they make a lot of high school movies these days? There's Booksmart,
I like
but that's the last day of high
Booksmart.
school too.
I liked Edge of 17 from a few years ago with
Yeah.
Oh, you know
Haley
what?
Stanfield.
I didn't see that, but I heard it was good.
It's good. Yeah, it's a rare movie where you're like, oh no, these teenagers are acting like teenagers, where they
Yeah.
like make bad choices.
I mean, if he wants to learn about middle school, then like 8th grade is
Yeah,
really
how
good.
is that?
Just
I
with-
always just the concept of a movie about 8th graders stressed me out.
I can understand that. I actually think it's a really good movie. And I'm someone who often gets a little annoyed by kind of Bo Burnham's stuff. But
Oh, you find him annoying? Does he do annoying things?
it's just not my type of thing. But it is a very good movie, and it's not as
Having such
it's,
haters.
it's not as depressing as it seems like it'll be.
Okay. Wow, man, we're crushing these. How about family dynamics? What's a good movie to show family dynamics?
Mm.
Because Og's from a different type of family dynamic where he is, I don't know, rides dinosaurs and
Yep.
he can't explain yet. He doesn't have language.
I don't know if this is the best.
Maybe the Crudes.
I mean, I feel like the crew team would be like 2 on the nose for Og. Og know this already.
It's hard because all unhappy families are unhappy in their own way, et cetera, et cetera. Like I feel like family dynamics is so specific. Like I was, like I was going back and forth between like, oh, everything everywhere all at once is a lot about family dynamics, but like
Yeah,
also
that
a lot
movie
of
won't
it
confuse Og. Yeah.
is specifically tied to an Asian immigrant experience, but like what isn't tied to a specific experience? What good movie isn't? Like,
Yeah, that's right.
so it's hard
I
to
think
say.
It's hard because there's a lot of movie. I mean, because also if you're making a movie about a family, it's often because something bad is happening to that family, and I don't necessarily want to give them a bad version. So I think this is my gag suggestion is Fast and Furious. It's all about family, but
That's a good one.
my real suggestion, Addams Family.
That
The Barry
actually,
Levinson Addams Family, Barry Sonnenfeld Addams Family. I think it's like they're a creepy family, but they are a solid,
Arguably
functional,
kooky.
loving family. Oh, they're arguably ooky or spooky, but they're a little kooky. But I think that's if I wanted to
would
show
they
him,
kick and would they slap a friend?
this is up to debate. That we never see it canonically in the film. They're
Why would they
described
kick
that way.
And slap.
I don't know. He sang the song, Dan.
Yeah.
But that would be my legitimate one. I feel like if you want to show a movie where you're like, this is how a family operates when it loves each other, like even and maybe don't show the parts where Pugsley and Wednesday are trying to murder each other, but still.
Yeah, that part might be confusing.
Yeah.
You make fun of me for confusing pics. It's like I don't know if this is like this is a more out of the mainstream family. Than,
I don't know, but like that's just their style, But that fact that like it's a loving husband and wife. They love their children. The children are trouble, but they still love them. His brother thinks comes back, and he feels so guilty about not finding him before. He's so excited he's there. Like
It's great.
there's I feel like 100%, and it's going to teach people. It's going to teach him about kind of like
Are
a kind of
those
Tim
Barry
Burton type
Levinson's
goth
best-
aesthetic.
Wait, is that Barry Sonnenfeld?
Yeah.
That's Barry Sonnenfeld. Yeah,
Those are his best movies, right?
Well, he also did Get Shorty. That's a good one.
Get Shorty. I
but-
love. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And as a director, I think Addams Family or Get Shorty probably is his best movie. Yeah,
Like
I'm partial to Addams Family Values, but that's just
that's true.
because
Addams Family Values is really
I'm
good.
not the
Joan
Men in Black
Cusack is just
fan that a
so
lot
hot.
of people
Yeah.
are. Like I like
I mean-
it okay.
What Addams Family Values?
No, I said I'm not the Men in Black fan that a lot of people are. Like I like
but
it
it's good.
fine.
It's a really
but-
fun movie.
It's good, and it has like an all-time performance from Vincent
Yeah, no, it's
D'Onofrio.
good. I just put the other ones we mentioned above it in
Yes,
my
I mean Addams Family. You're right.
Sonnenfeld
Addams,
ratings.
I think Addams Family Values. I wouldn't show Og just yet because I don't think he'd be able to handle Joan Cusack.
Yeah, it's too intense.
Yeah.
What a whirlwind of emotions. Okay.
I forgot.
So-
Looking up now, I forgot he directed 9 Lives, the movie where
Mhm.
Kevin
The movie
Spacey
we
is a
talked-
cat.
And
right?
RV.
That we talked
You've
about.
had a real fall from grace.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Okay. Modern travel. What are we going to show Og for modern travel? Whether that's subways, cars, bikes.
I mean, there's one
Planes.
movie that
Modes
does
of
include
travel?
planes, trains, and automobiles in it.
Yeah.
Okay, what is that movie?
It's
Midnight
called
Run?
Rat Race.
No, it's Rat Race. Our
Mission
friend-
Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
Our mutual friend Tom is almost always recommending Rat Race to us.
Really?
Yeah, he has not recommended Rat Race to you.
Wait, are we talking about the same Tom?
Yeah, Tom from Huckleberry Travel.
Oh, that
He
Tom.
loves Rat
So
Race.
you weren't talking about the same Tom.
No, we weren't, but that's fine. I don't know why we're so scared of saying people's name. Yeah, I was not aware that he was such a
He's
Rat
a huge
Race
Rat Race fan. He's always like,
aficionado.
"Hey, I love Rat Race. You want to come watch it sometime?" I'm like, I guess.
It's an uneven movie, but there are like 2 or 3 scenes that are very funny in it. Like the rest of it is not very good, but then
Rat
it has
Race?
like a couple of flashes of
There's some
brilliance.
funny moments in it, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. Maybe I should take Tom up on his offer.
I wouldn't
now.
say
Yeah.
rush to see it, but
Don't race. Speaking of Rush, the movie I would recommend is Premium Rush because I think it gives New York geography, which Ugg's going to
Yeah.
have to be able to, because the Flophouse is canonically in New York.
in New York, even though a third of it is in Los Angeles, yeah,
But like your heart is still in New York, right?
for sure.
You left it
100,000%.
there.
I
It's
left
in a
it there.
shoebox.
Slowly dying.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I feel like Premium Rush really gets across the concept of making your way through the big city.
And he'll see Michael Shannon and he'll be like, I knew guys like that back in the Stone Age. I knew guys who had
yeah.
that kind of anger all the time.
He would be Michael Shannon could be a modern man, a caveman. He could be it all. He can do it all.
He can be any
Yeah.
period of history. Like, but also the thing, I love his performance in Premium Rush so much because it's like he's so genuinely threatening and also such a clumsy, like, goof. The entire
Yes.
Yeah.
he's constantly failing, but you are worried about him. Like if you're worried he's going to get his hands on the hero, it's
Yeah.
going to be scary.
Well, it's not, this character's not scary, but the filmmakers explicitly said, like they're trying to do like a Coyote and Roadrunner thing. And it shows like on the funny side of things,
Yeah.
like he is a comically sort of bad luck villain, even while he's scary.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Any other travel suggestions? We have Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I mean, if we're
I
talking
suggested
about
Premium Rush.
if we're talking about movies with Michael Shannon in them too, then like Kangaroo Jack, there's a lot of travel in that.
Mhm.
Yep, that's you remembered that he's in it.
Mhm.
I guess, I don't know, Around the World in 80 Days has a lot of modes of travel in a
That's
lot
true.
of countries.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's pretty useful for
It's
somebody in the
semi-modern
modern-
travel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's less
Takes a
hot air
balloon
balloon
and
travel
shit,
these
right?
days. Yeah. Not a lot of steamships these days. Or like, I mean, yeah, and there's a lot of the modern Bond movies, I feel like
Mhm.
the older ones actually show him traveling more. Now it's usually they just cut to another country and it says like Monaco in big
like,
letters
oh, we
on the
don't have to
screen.
do that part.
Yeah. People are familiar with airplanes now. So maybe an older James Bond movie.
How about religion? What
No.
movie
You
should we
mentioned-
show?
you mentioned
Ugg
First
for
Reformed.
religion. First Reformed. Yep, maybe that does a little double duty there.
Now, now the question then is, are we
Like,
talking
there's
about,
so many religions, Stuart. What are we?
that's the thing, a specific
the
religion
thing.
or the idea of religion,
Well, if he has to blend into New York high school society,
Okay.
what?
I mean, I think.
if it's high school religion, then like what, Saved? Something like
That's
that.
not bad. Yeah,
But I would also,
a serious man.
well, I'd say maybe Fiddler on the Roof, which is the main character literally is in dialogue with God the entire movie and talks about his religion.
Yeah, I mean, in America, there's a broad spectrum of religions, but probably for the most part, he's going to encounter culturally Judeo-Christian stuff. So maybe like do a double feature, slap Jesus Christ Superstar onto there.
Yeah. So you're saying
after
probably
Fiddler.
not like the Serpent and the Rainbow. That wouldn't give him an idea of like the mainstream American religion.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I'm like, see if there's something that gives more of a spectrum. But what are you gonna do?
Do I see Exodus, Gods and Kings? there? God's Not Dead? Is that?
We'll show him Bill Maher's religious.
I think like that's going to do the opposite of what you want.
we showed it
We'll
to
turn
Og and
Og
he
into an
died.
asshole.
Yeah.
we
hit
were
himself with his club until he died.
We just last weekend were in Boston for our Boston show when we were recording this, and I took a walk around, and at the Boston Music Center or whatever it was, the one near Fenway, there was a big electronic sign up advertising that Bill Maher was going to be there, and I was like, oh man, I kind of wish that we were opening for him or something like that, so that we could just
Yeah.
mess up that show.
Yeah, just ruin it. Just kill the
Just
vibes.
unplug everything and run.
Yeah.
We, my wife and I celebrated I think it was it might have been our last wedding anniversary. We went down it was kind of last minute. So we went down to Atlantic City and we were getting dinner at the Borgata and we just saw a big sign that said that Sebastian Maniscalco was going to be there. Of all places, Atlantic City.
No.
And I was like, Charlene, it's your guy.
Did you choose to meet there because they had blown up the Chicken Man in Philly last night?
Wait. Wait, I don't get that reference.
Elliot, you're from New Jersey. You should understand this. It's a Springsteen song. It's a very famous one. Atlantic City.
I don't.
Springsteen.
I'll
He's
be honest,
a billionaire. I don't listen to his music anymore.
This is the shame. The shame of my
why.
the shame of my life is I don't really connect to Springsteen's music very much. My dad loves him. My brother loves him. My brother will be like, yeah, I took a trip to Iceland. Bruce Springsteen was playing there, and I wanted to see him.
Wow.
But
that's what Bruce Springsteen songs are all about is Iceland.
I'll just box up that joke and submit it to the now over with Scott Aukerman, Adam Scott Springsteen series.
The thing is,
Yeah.
Dan, I guarantee you'll get like 1 or 2 DMs from people who are like, Stuart and Elliot are crazy for not getting that reference.
I
You're
got
the
that
best,
one.
Dan.
One
and
of
you're
them
like,
will be
wow,
from
this
Brian
came from
Davis.
Yeah, this DM comes from my wife.
So I'm gonna recommend a movie that I think I'm gonna recommend 2 movies for this one for religion that I feel like maybe they're not the most best or most accessible movies. One of them I think is an amazing movie, but it's not the most accessible. And the other one is okay, it's fine. But they're both about kind of religious belief and the questions surrounding that. And one of those is Silence, the Martin Scorsese movie, which I think is an amazing movie and should have gotten more attention from the world. And the other is Leap of Faith with Steve Martin, which Leap of Faith, when it came out, they sold it as like, funny man Steve Martin is at it again. This time he's an evangelist. But when you see it, it's like it's about a guy who is coming to terms with the fact that he is playing on the faith of other people for greedy reasons. And when that faith starts to become real in a way, he has trouble handling it. I think that it's something I haven't seen in years, but I remember it making a strong impression on me that it felt much more complicated than I thought it was going to be going into it. Not as funny as I thought it was going to be. But those are both movies about like why people are religious, but also the pitfalls that come with that.
When you said about why and like pitfalls, I thought you were going to go with Life of Brian, which is also about, sort of the lighter side of religion. Dave Berg's the lighter side of no, but it has like some stuff about sort of the way religions form that could be useful.
I think the thing Life of Brian doesn't have is it is about the pitfalls of religion and how a good message can be kind of twisted or become covered, but it doesn't really deal with the concept of actual faith or that kind of not knowing or knowing, But it's such a great movie, fantastic, and Og will be impressed by Graham Chapman's penis.
Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, I'll take a mental snapshot. So, or he could take a real snapshot. It's up to him.
Yeah, I could do what he likes.
Yeah.
Of course, now we need a movie about teaching him how to use a camera.
As I said,
I guess autofocus.
Yeah. Og over here, or there's segments of Road to Perdition.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, camera prominently used.
So Og here doesn't come from a capitalist society, so he probably doesn't understand the idea of like going to work, going to a work day, working for the man. So what would be a good movie to show Og what it's like to be working?
Is day 9 to 5? Because then there's a movie that might be appropriate for that.
That's 9 to 5 is a solid answer.
Yeah, 9 to 5 came to mind. 9 to 5 and Working Girl both came to mind.
Yeah.
Blue Collar comes to mind if we're showing nothing but
God.
Let's be face it. Yeah,
imagine showing a Neanderthal only Paul Schrader movies.
So everyone pervert who keeps journal, okay.
We're going to show them these movies about how women get screwed in the workplace, and then we're going to show them this movie about how capitalism screws everyone in the workplace.
Yeah. I mean,
then Og suddenly is like super into online poker and like, what's going on?
I was going to say, it does seem more likely that Og would get a job at a car factory rather than a job at a working girl or 9 to 5 type office job, which is not to say anything bad about those, but I think he's more likely to work a blue collar job. He doesn't have a degree.
I also like the last couple, the movies we just mentioned are all pretty old. And I've had this like kind of weird issue with a lot of media, whether it's TV or movies, that I feel like there's a certain increase in lifestyle porn to it.
Oh, very much so.
The stories of blue collar folks or like working class folks just aren't being told anymore. And like everybody's houses are fucking huge. And so like, do they make movies about this stuff anymore?
They do, but they're not big release movies.
Yeah.
You know, they're not the kinds of movies that get into every theater the way they used to. There's certainly fewer movies where the main character by default is not rich, or at least has any kind of money worth. I mean, like I recently on Father's Day, my kids and I went to go see E.T., and just the fact that like that family is doing okay, but they're not rich. Whereas now that would be a story about either a rich kid or a kid who has no money and is at the poverty line. Like there's no kind of in the middle where someone can't just buy whatever they want, but is not constantly, in danger of falling into debt. Those are the only extremes that we see a lot, but it's mostly rich stuff that we see.
I was going to say, like, it's like, like a couple months ago, I went and saw Silence of the Lambs in the theater as part of Matt Singer's series about Siskel and Ebert thumbs up, thumbs down pairings. Where he showed two movies, one that Ebert gave a thumbs up, one Siskel gave a thumbs down to, and then did the inverse for the other screening. I can't remember what the other movie was, but Gene Siskel did not like Silence of the Lambs. He said it was too, flashy or something, too like, it's a weird argument because it makes sense.
Like too slick or?
No, just like too like
sensational?
I think sensational is a better term. And especially like when watching it, so much of it takes place in these like small like steel towns and shit like that. And like all the extras look like regular people and they dress like regular people. And it's watching it on this big screen, like you would like, I guess my memory had been so wrapped up in the mythologizing of Hannibal Lecter that you kind of forget that it's like a movie set in like America, basically.
Yeah. There's sorry, what did you say, Dan?
Well, no, just Jonathan Timme's like one of the best at just sort of capturing like on the ground what feels like normal life, and he brings it to what's, like this sort of sensationalist pot boiler.
Yeah. What you're saying, Stuart, reminds me of recently also I hadn't watched Slapshot in many, many years, and I was watching that again, and I'm like,
With the kids, I would imagine.
Yeah, they loved it. I mean, Sammy loves sports movies. So I'm like, oh, you're going to love this. We went to see Inside Out 2, and I was like, Sammy, did you like it? And he goes, yeah, there was a lot more hockey than I thought there was going to be. But
put it on the poster.
There's the part in Slapshot, like the characters, it's similar. Like they're in real feeling places, real feeling clothes. And he goes to the owner of the team's house. And in that movie, that house is supposed to be like a really luxurious big house. And watching it, I was like, this is the house that every character in movies lives in now. Like this would just be a normal house in a movie now. Not like we don't get to see as many movies where people don't have four bedrooms.
To me, the crazy frog is just a regular frog. Yeah.
But I was going to say another work movie that maybe Og will enjoy is Monsters, Inc. Very much about having a job, needing to do it, having ambitions to do a different job, needing to deal with interpersonal rivalry with coworkers,
I think it's kind of fucked up we didn't suggest the Flintstones or Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas. I feel like Og would really connect. Like he would see the parallels there between the work.
I feel it's the opposite. I feel he'd be like, "Oh, this what you think Og is? Og offended. This minstrelry, that kind of thing."
Well, it'd also be confused. It would just be confusing. It would feel like science fiction to him. Like it'd be like, "Wait, this is not the way it was. This is some weird mashup.
Yeah,
I don't understand." This hurts Og's brain.
And the thing is, Og would have no understanding of dinosaurs. He would none at all. So he would just think they were crazy monsters. Yeah.
My name is Jordan Crucchiola, and I love movies. But you know what I might love even more? Talking about movies. And the directors, actors, and writers that join me every week on Feeling Seen love to talk about movies too. Like our recent co-host, the writer and director, Justin Simeon.
And I love the premise of your show, Feeling Seen. I think that's kind of always my goal when I'm making something. Nothing touches my heart more than when someone comes out of my movie and says, oh my God, I never thought I would see myself.
So hang out with us and geek out about watching movies, making movies, and the ways the movies we love speak to us directly. You might just start asking folks around you, hey, what movie character made you feel seen? We're doing it every week at MaximumFun.org.
The Greatest Generation has been going on for more than 8 years.
And if you've been Greatest Gen curious but have never taken the leap, we recommend exploring your Greatest Gen curiosity in a safe, fun environment with partners you can trust. But right now is one of the best times ever to become a new listener.
That's because we just started covering a new Star Trek series, Star Trek Enterprise, one of the horniest and weirdest editions of Star Trek ever released.
This is your chance to ease in to the Greatest Generation lifestyle.
The Greatest Generation, now covering Star Trek Enterprise, the one with Scott Bakula, every Monday on MaximumFun.org or in your podcast app.
Hey there, it's Dan with some Novocaine garbled announcements. That's right, I went to the dentist. They pumped me full of Novocaine. It was still painful when they tried to pull my back tooth, and so they said, go home. We're sending you to another place tomorrow where you can get some gas. So I have a mouthful of a half worked on tooth and a bunch of drugs. Can I talk so you can understand me? Let's see. Hey, this podcast is sponsored by listeners like you, mostly by being members of Max Fun. You can check that out over at MaximumFun.org. But some folks also get jumbotrons for their friends, loved ones, and various hangers-on. This one is for future Dr. Emily, last name withheld, from her mostly excellent partner. Welcome to middle age. Looking forward to growing much older alongside you as we make new memories and revisit the same old places, like Henchelin's Bar during Jewish Christmas. Love you, my sympathetic string. Yeah, welcome to middle age, indeed. Also, hey, we just announced recently Flop TV. You may be wondering, what is Flop TV? It's our full season of 6 monthly video live streams. That's right, we've taken sort of our live shows, crammed them down into an hour, added some zazz, some zazzle to make them more like a streaming TV show. You can see them the first Saturday of every month from September through February. Sorry, my brain is still in that dentist chair. So this season, we're talking about bad sequels. That sounds fun, right? It's the second one of the Flop TV seasons. So we're talking about number 2s. We're talking about, on September 7th, RoboCop 2. On October 5th, it's Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, the movie with a subtitle that was a joke for years. November 2, Caddyshack 2, a sequel to a comedy that, I'll be honest, despite my age, I never found it all that funny. So to hear that Caddyshack 2 is a big step down, hoo boy. December 7th, Highlander 2, The Quickening. I hear that some people really are partisans for this one. I'm curious to see. I might have a good time. Who knows? January 4th, Ski School 2. Stuart loves the Ski School movies. We know this. He talks about them all the time. So we're going to talk about the second one. Will we learn anything about the first one along the way? Who knows? Probably. February 1st, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. Finally, we'll know what's going on with that damn ooze. You can purchase individual show tickets for $7 or discount for $35 for the whole season. Now, I will say there are a few, what do you call them? There's some fees, some ticketing service fees that make it a couple dollars more than those base things. I'm sorry about that. We're a small organization. We have to use a ticketing service, but that's what it is. $7 per show, $35 for the whole season. You get a price break. It's like getting one show for free. And if you're interested, go to theflophouse.simpletix.com. Theflophouse.simpletix.com. is where the information is and ticket links. And you can also go to just our website, flophousepodcast.com. And if you click on that events link, you'll get the same info. So, yeah, let's go back to the show. Why not?
Okay, so what about the concept of growing up or growing old?
Oh.
We have to dig out the link letter here, I think. Like either the cheat and put in the whole before trilogy or
that would also cover the basis of love.
Boyhood, a movie that I didn't like as much as everyone did, but it does what it's supposed to.
What, you didn't like that the kid got older? Thought he looked weird.
I don't know. I just didn't find the kid that interesting. Like even if you're gonna do this movie about like the passage of time, like, and I understand that like now I feel like I'm criticizing a real person because it was sort of like developed alongside the
kid's actual
kid's life. But I don't know. I found the parents more compelling than the kid.
Yes, I think it is. It is slightly hurt by the fact that the parents are played by two amazing actors who are bringing a lot to it, and the kid is just kind of living life. But also, Richard Linklater, I think, is more interested in that period of life when you are a teenager and you think you know everything about the world and you have your philosophies and your dreams than I personally am. So when I was watching that movie too, I was like, I don't give a shit what this kid thinks. Like, show me what's going on with the parent. There's this scene where his art teacher, his photography teacher is like, look, you're more talented than other people, but you're not trying at all. And they're going to get jobs and you're not going to get them because they're going to do the work and you're not going to do it because you think you can just skate by on talent. And I was like, I'm not used to seeing this kind of scene, and this is exactly what this kid needs to hear. And then the movie was kind of like, yeah, but he's not really listening anyway. And it just kind of went off in its direction. I was like, oh, this kid had a chance. Anyway, so you could do that. There's also
straighten up and fly right, kid.
This is more about yeah. I mean, that is kind of my message to the kids of America. But this is more about old age than it is about youth. But like Nebraska, I feel like is a good movie for like what it feels like to be older, to have your life.
Another Alexander Payne.
Yeah. So
it really punches up the fact that only a few working directors are saying anything substantive about life.
But I mean, I
enjoy the genre garbage too. Don't get me wrong. Don't get mad at me for.
No, but it would be nice.
I'm very easy on movies, but
it would be nice if there was a greater variety of tones of film and kind of levels of complexity of film in your modern day multiplex.
Yeah. Why can't I just go see The Fall Guy all the time?
Yeah, a movie that I loved.
I mean, you can now. You can own it now.
Own it digitally.
Oh, that's amazing.
Fall Guy.
Can
I get my? When can I get my Criterion Collection Blu-ray of The Fall Guy?
It'll probably be a while down the road.
Okay,
I feel like it has to be reclaimed critically as an effervescent entertainment of years past.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so death. What are we going to show Ugg to get across the concept of death and dying?
I mean, there's a whole movie that's literally just about the faces of death.
Yep. Obviously, Final Destination is a solid option.
I mean, it kind of is because, like, both that and It Follows are about the inevitability of death. Like,
I don't know if Final Destination is in the same way that It Follows.
I mean, look, is one artier? Sure, but like that is the fundamental thing about the Final Destination movies is like. Yeah, you can make death skip over you for a little while, but it's eventually going to catch up to you, and that's kind of like what makes them.
Is there like not to, but like, do you feel like I feel like It Follows is more about like growing up too fast than it is about like death?
I don't know. It Follows to me was about death and about that the you cannot avoid it, and the only way to deal with it is to make connections with other people. That's what I got from it. Like that last, if I'm remembering it correctly, because I haven't seen it in years, but that last shot at the end where they're walking and there's kind of like a blurred figure behind them, and you don't know if it's the it or something else, and they just kind of hold hands. It's like that's all we can do. We're all being followed by death, and all we can do is love each other in the meantime.
I was watching it the other day, but I mainly got distracted because the one character has an e-reader that is like a little clamshell.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
That's
Where
amazing.
do you get those?
What an amazing choice that is.
That's one of the things that I did. Like, I didn't even sort of notice when I first saw it. Like, it registered as like, oh, that's weird. But like, the intent was that this is like a reality sort of different from our own, maybe like a little in the future or whatever. Like I know from like reading interviews with the director, but the rest of the movie is so grounded in everyday reality as it exists that it didn't even like occur to me that could be possible.
Yeah.
But even though, but like, that's another one though, where like, that's a movie that feels like it's taking place in real places, like we were talking about before. Like she's got a little clam e-reader, but also like they have an above ground pool. You know, like that's what the future is going to be. All the crap that we have now with a bunch of new stuff tossed on top of it. You know, it's not going to be all new stuff.
Yeah, it's like when a movie like I was complaining about Maxine, which is a movie that I like quite a bit, but it feels a little bit like it's cosplaying the 80s, where it's like everything is exactly what you would imagine from the 80s, whereas like in the actual 80s, most of the shit people had was from the 70s.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, very much so.
I feel like that's a concept that like the set design and costuming in a show like Mad Men actually had a pretty good understanding of.
I mean, Mad Men, they did such a good job of it. That it wasn't just everyone didn't dress 60s style. I mean, also the fact
that
the
fucking Goldbergs or something.
Yeah, or like The Wedding Singer or something like that. You know?
Thank you. Okay, so man, we're tacking this off.
Death.
We just talked about death. I don't know what.
I don't think we actually said anything, but that's fine because we got to keep moving, right?
Yeah, we got to keep moving. Love. What's a good movie to introduce Og to the concept of love?
Love.
Romantic love.
What is love?
Yeah, romantic love, not just the physical act of love. Yeah,
don't hurt me,
and not just family.
I have a number of short clips I could show.
I know this isn't the full thing. It's fine. We could just watch the preview. It'll give you the gist of it.
Mm-hmm. The gist.
Movies about love. I don't think they made any movies about love.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I don't think they do a lot of that. I mean, to be honest, this is a movie that a lot of people don't like. But I've talked about it before on the podcast because I saw it at a very important time in my life when I went to see it with my wife when we were falling in love. And that's The Fountain, the Darren Aronofsky movie.
Yeah.
And that's a movie that is about a man who loves a woman so much that he spends the rest of eternity basically trying to find the way to bring her to life. And so
that's a healthy way to process your emotions.
I'm trying to find one where, my biggest problem with a lot of movies about love is they don't.
Dan just scrolled past Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I'm showing Og that shit. I love it.
Thanks. The main problem I have with movies about love is so many of them sort of actually don't actually show the process of falling in love. They kind of skip over and expect you to be and of course, I don't know. It's preordained that these two people like each other.
Well, I think I wonder if. Yep.
Well,
and then there's the.
Thank God the Zoom doesn't cause any problems. No, I like.
No, that was just me, Dan. I was doing that on purpose.
Okay. So many romantic comedies are people meet, they fall in love because it's love at first sight. They break up for equally dumb reasons, and then they get back together, and we're supposed to be yeah, great. And I was looking for one that sort of shows the process at least. And I don't know, it's a wacky pick, but it's the first one that came up that met the criteria is that movie Palm Springs, which is sort of a Groundhog Day scenario, romantic comedy, where at least you spend time with these people and you understand why they grow to like one another.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple, based on that, Dan, you've really made me think about it. And that basically, we already talked about the before movies. I feel like that does a really good job of because they're not with each other at the end. They have that moment and then it eventually comes back. But also Past Lives is very much about that to me.
Past Lives is great.
You see them getting closer from afar, and building that relationship.
And also
even if it doesn't end up in the end,
And part of the concept of love is understanding that it might not work out.
Yeah.
And you can't possess someone. Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
I object to this only from the standpoint of for me, the theme of Past Lives is not so much that these people are actually falling in love. It's that they are witnessing a different course that their life might have taken and feeling a certain feeling about that and feeling wistful about it.
The major part of that different course is them being in a loving relationship.
With John Magaro, indie movie darling.
Yeah, but that's my point. I think that it's a movie about, even if you have sort of a romantic relationship that you like, and you have no interest in disrupting, like there are all these paths that close off to you as you go older, and it's okay to feel a little sad about those things. I feel like the love there is like the love that endures on the side of the marriage, not this sort of fantasy of something.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mhm.
It's still love. Still a movie about love.
Okay.
It's still love. Okay.
Yeah.
Clothes.
Movies
Clothes?
about clothes.
Yeah, Og doesn't have clothes.
Okay.
He's not used to clothes, why we wear them,
I don't know,
etc.
like Phantom Thread? I don't know.
Look at how
Perfect.
mad Elliot's
I was gonna
getting.
say the birdcage because they wear some sick fits.
You just want to talk about clothes, like good clothes in movies.
We talked about travel. What about pets? The concept of having pets.
Well, not The Secret Life of Pets, because I haven't seen it, and I think it's about pets doing things that pets don't
It
actually.
would give an
Yeah.
erroneous view of pets and how they interact with things.
What about that cats and dogs movie where they're like spies?
Cats and Dogs.
Yeah. No.
Or are you talking about Cats and Dogs 2, The Return of Kitty Galore? Which is
I was
a
talking
That's-
about
that's
pun
the one
on
he was
Pussy
talking about.
Galore, an off-color double entendre.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to recommend, if we're trying to teach Og about pets, I think then, I mean, this is a sad movie, but like Kes, the British movie about the boy the Ken Loach movie about the boy who gets a pet kestrel, and it's like the one kind of beautiful thing in his life for the time that he has it. That's one about the relationship that can build between a human and an animal. You know,
Yeah. How about Old Yeller? We just keep
Only
making
movies where the
Og
pet
really
dies at the
sad.
end.
Yeah. These
Yeah.
sad ones like
A Dog's Purpose. Yeah.
Can You Ever Forgive Me? That's got a really sad pet moment in it. And I feel like Og can take away some other really cool stuff about 90s New York from Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Richard
I
E.
love
Grant,
Richard E.
amazing.
Grant. Yeah.
Okay, and let's wrap this up. Og needs to learn one more thing, and he
Okay.
needs to learn about art. What is a good movie? What is the movie to teach him about art and the process of making it and what art means to people?
Interesting. Like all these things are like there's so many facets of the different thing. Like
I know.
if you want
Og's a complicated guy.
if you want like a movie about sort of like what like the business side of art and like the weird ways in which the art world exists today, there's something like Exit Through the Gift Shop. Or if you want like sort of more of a
Mhm.
I don't know, a movie about process. I forget what's that movie that's just like someone painting someone for like 3 hours. What am I thinking of? Emmanuel Beert in it, or
It's
am I
the
thinking?
one I remember I remember hearing about it, but I don't remember the name of it. But I know the one you're talking about, I think.
I'm surprised Dan didn't already say The Artist. Academy
Yeah.
Award winning.
Right there, the title. So 2 movies I would recommend then. One, neither of them the most accessible, I guess, in some ways.
Sure,
It's like
yeah.
there are, I would look at not the whole movie, but the portion of Andrei Rublev that is about the making of that giant church bell and just how much work goes into it and how important it is to the guy who's running the operation and everything like that, how he becomes an artist through doing that. But also like, I don't know, like this is a bonkers one, but like Velvet Buzzsaw, which I think is not a lot of people's favorites.
That's a bonkers one.
It is like, it's a satire on the art world, but also at the very end of it, the scene where John Malkovich is just kind of drawing things in the sand. He's drawing these designs in the sand that will not last. And he is the one character who doesn't get horribly mangled or murdered because he's just making art for the sake of doing it rather than for the sale of it. And he knows that those designs he's creating are not going to last. They'll go away as soon as he makes them. But the process of making art is so enjoyable to him that he's making art for the reason to make art, which is to make art rather than to sell it. So I think that by the end, I found that moment in that movie really, really touching, even though a lot of the other stuff in the movie is like all over the place.
It's a little silly.
I
Yeah.
found the movie I was thinking of by correctly identifying the actress who played the model. It's La Belle Noiseuse.
Oh, that's not
I
the one
probably
that I was
said
thinking
that
of.
terribly, but
What would you guys think about Ed Wood? It's a movie about
that's a
someone
good
who,
one.
not a talented artist, but is so driven to create and is so passionate about it and creates this kind of community of people through the action of making art, even if the art he's making is terrible.
Kind of along those lines, maybe something like American Movie.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
going to say along
American
those
movies-
lines.
Yeah, American Movie's a great one. Yeah.
Be Kind, Rewind.
Yeah.
Also, sort of just the joy of creating a thing, even though they're recreating a thing.
I think that's I think that's it. If we would want to show Og something that is about the act of creation rather than about this cultural idea of art, maybe, to start him on the right track at least. Because, he's probably like made some handprints in some caves. Maybe he's painted like a buffalo or a...
Og is nodding, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
So he understands that desire to make your mark on the physical world and to make your imagination visual, but he doesn't need to know just yet that like there's millions of dollars to be made if you cut up a fucking shark and put it in formaldehyde.
He doesn't need to be hampered by, I don't know, preconceived notions of what is good or bad art.
Yes.
Just the act of creation.
The act of creation, exactly.
Okay, well, I think we actually this is a pretty good list of movies. We probably should start popping them in the old DVD player and showing Og these movies before Mom comes home.
Gonna take a while.
Well, yeah, let's buckle our freak belts on. So this has been a Flophouse Mini. We are a product of the, we're part of the Max Fun podcast.
Yeah, we're
network.
a product of ourselves, Stuart.
Exactly,
Yeah, come
that's
on.
true. Yeah, we're a small business, we're independent art.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to think of
after
myself as a
fashion.
person and not a product, but I guess we're all products these days.
We
Yeah.
are.
Well, we're incorporated.
Can I recommend? Can I recommend another art movie for Og?
Kids Incorporated.
of course.
It's similar to the stuff we're talking about, but like American Splendor is another one that I would consider showing. The need
Okay,
to
toss it on
create
the pile.
Toss on. Dan's getting stressed
viewing
out about
pile.
all the movies we have to watch.
the movies that we have to watch for this hypothetical situation.
I'll throw
I
in.
want to understand modern life.
Yeah, I'll throw in The Square so he understands what museums are like.
Yeah, I wonder. Maybe we just need to show movies with "modern" in the title. Modern romance, modern problems, What's the
Modern
one
problems, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Those are the only two. Yeah.
Those are the only two
Thoroughly
movies.
modern Millie.
So this is the Flophouse. We are edited by Alex Smith. He goes by Howell Doughty all over the place. He's got a new album out. Go check it out.
All over the place.
All over the place. I stand by it. I am Stuart Wellington.
I'm Dan McCoy.
I'm Elliot Kalin.
Okay, bye.
There's a kind of hush all over the place tonight.
Maximum Fun,
A worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
supported
directly
by you.